This will be a training session on doing the receiving transaction in the PanaTracker GP application. Because we've had previous sessions on using lookup lists, barcode scanning, and navigation, we will not be covering that in this session. We're simply going to be covering using barcode scanning, the ability to complete a receiving transaction. You do have all your lookups, of course, available, and any default settings may be set for you automatically. For a receiving transaction, depending upon your configuration setting, you may be doing automated label printing, in which case you're going to be starting out in your printer field. Hopefully you have got a barcode scanner that's representing your different printers that you can simply scan. The printer will be defaulted from that point forward, so you don't have to scan this for every single receiving transaction. It will just simply be displayed as a default, which you can use the Enter key to accept. In a receiving transaction, site and vendor are both filter fields. They will filter the PO lookup list based on what's populated there. Anytime you have a filter, these are going to be optional items, optional fields to enter in. Otherwise, they will again filter the PO list for you. If they don't apply filters, all open and available purchase orders will be available in the lookup list. Otherwise, you can also scan the purchase order you are receiving. The reference field is going to be the vendor document number and populate the vendor document number on that receiving transaction. You may have this set as required, or you may have this set as optional. You may also have called this field something different other than reference, as I have listed here. So based on how your configuration is set, this might be slightly different, but this field will populate the vendor document number. If I don't want to put information in, if it's not required in my end, I can simply hit the Enter key to navigate to my items. I can now scan my items that I'm going to be receiving. And based on how those items are set up in my Dynamics database, I can go ahead and identify if they're serial or lot tracked. In the case when I've received more than what was expected, by just simply dismissing this message box, because this item is already filtered, I can take a look at what my expected remaining quantity is. This is going to be the only thing displayed here because this is going to be filtered by that item number that's already been scanned or entered in. This is my expected remaining quantity. This is going to be updated as you're completing this transaction. So if I've already received 20 of the 50, this is going to show a balance of 30. So we're always going to show you the most current information based on what you've already done as part of this transaction. I'll show this by typing in 34 now, and then we could go ahead and scan that same item and use my lookup list to show you now that my expected remaining quantity has been updated to 20 because I previously received 30. So I can now go ahead and I'm going to receive the balance of that as well. If you are doing label printing, the labels to print field will also be open, and you're going to be entering in the labels to print, and there will also be default settings there. Your labels will print immediately after you hit the Enter key past the labels to print. One of the things you're going to want to remember is if you don't hit the Enter key after you've entered in a quantity, or if after you entered in your labels to print and you haven't been reset back to the item field, that specific data capture for that item has not been completed and recorded 100% for you. You want to make sure you're back into that item field first. We also have a review screen available, and this is going to show the current status of your receiving transaction. On this receiving transaction, you can also hide any line items, PO line items that have not been received. We don't have any receiving activity on any of the other line items, so those are not going to be displayed here. So you can toggle back and forth for that. Also, by tapping on the line to expand more information, you can also see the total PO quantity from the original PO quantity. And you can also drill down to the details. So I had received 30 and then the additional 20 for that line item. Each of those details are going to be in my details list. Hitting the back button is going to just simply take me back, and then from my review screen I'm going to be able to submit this transaction, or I can continue adding on to this transaction. This was one I hadn't completed previously, so I can actually override that if I wanted to. So from